No question about it, more needs to be done, and fast, to encourage people with disabilities to participate in the electoral process in Nigeria, stand for elections and be reckoned with amongst the electorate. And they should, because latest estimates suggest that some 35 million people in Nigeria are living with disabilities. So you underestimate their voting strength at your own peril, because in fact they have the power to elect whoever becomes Nigeria's next president. To that effect, last month, the Albino Foundation flagged off its Able to Vote campaign across Nigeria, aiming to promote inclusion in the 2023 electoral process and to facilitate the equal right to vote for people with special needs. So the campaign will be aimed at raising awareness amongst the populace, the politicians, and people with disabilities, as well as ensuring that the Electoral Commission, INEC, is prepared with the necessary aids, such as Braille, sign language interpreters, etc., to enable the active participation of special needs people. With more on this, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined now in the studio by the UN Albinism Ambassador, Ekpelle, who's also co-founder of the Albino Foundation and the Able to Vote campaign. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
And you're doing an absolutely brilliant job. You're a very busy man. You're absolutely tireless, let's face it. I mean, Charles, I don't know where you get the energy from.
I can afford not to be working hard with people like you watching me.
Yeah, but I think you're working hard for a very worthy cause. And let me start by asking you, to what extent are the barriers that get in the way of political participation for people with disabilities being broken down in this country, especially with 2023 in sight?
Brilliant question. I think the issue around disability and participation in the electoral process have been, actually, there's not been strategic approach to solving them. Going from non-existence of policies that would drive whatever advocacy or effort by anyone to lack of framework to drive the process. And then, of course, lack of basic electoral resources. You just mentioned Braille, sign language interpreters, magnifying glasses for persons with albinism, and of course simple rules that allow individuals who cannot see, the blind, to be led to the point where they will vote, or those who are hard in hearing, the deaf, to be given proper electoral resources that gives access to their participation.
Or even people in wheelchairs to be able to actually get to the polling booth.
Simple access. I mean, simple things that can be done, Charles.
But are you seeing that being done? I mean, because you've been engaging INEC, I mean, and they've been supposedly doing things.
They've done a good job, to be honest with you. First, the will to do it, which is in the current INEC management. The ways to do it, which is, okay, you're telling us the problem, what's the solution? And by way of policy, because what we're trying to do with INEC, which Professor Mahmood had given us unfettered access, is to develop a policy that will live after him. It would serve the need after him. And of course, driving inclusivity into the Electoral Act. A lot of people don't know that I was privileged to lead the community of persons with disability in getting Section 54, subsection 1 and 2. Well, previously, we had Section 56, subsection 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act of 2010, which to me, in my opinion, and it's true, is draconian. It has a lacuna, like the lawyers will say, it did not give INEC the proper impetus to drive inclusivity.
And is that now contained in the Electoral
Yes,
Act?
it's been corrected.
Right.
It's been corrected. Simple term, like INEC may reasonably accommodate inclusion of persons with disability. Now it's been changed to INEC shall.
Yeah.
And the
that's very important.
Yeah, the power of that, Charles, is for the first time, INEC chairman had to sit down with us and said, now I am bounded by law to ensure inclusivity.
So what do I
in
need
the electoral
to do?
process. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a brilliant way of tackling the issue.
Yeah, that's a very important
thing. Bring the people to the table and know what their needs are, instead of sitting back in the office under a cool, cozy, air-conditioned environment and write policies for people you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that to me is not.
No, that's a very crucial point and a very commendable success, because it moves the thing, as you said, really moves it forward.
Exactly.
But that's the Electoral Commission. What about the presidential candidates? What about the manifestos of the candidates? Is there anything in them that gives you hope that things will be better come 2023 and beyond?
Well, Charles, they say to allow evil to thrive, good men should keep quiet. We're not keeping quiet. There may be errors here and there. I believe that there are a lot of them who wants to do it. Most of them don't know what to do. But we found that there are many manifestos that is not inclusive. They're exclusive manifestos.
So they don't even remember some of these
some
things
of them
to
don't
include
remember,
them.
you know, and we're trying to engage some of them and play it in a very, very non-partisan way, where I don't want any candidate to think that I'm endorsing him, which I will never do. I am strictly apolitical, even though I am political in my heart. I know who I probably don't. Well, let me say that I'm thinking of someone that I can vote as a person, but I'm not allowed by the principles of what I do.
Yes, absolutely.
And those who fund me
to
come out publicly and say that I'm going to vote this individual.
That's perfectly understandable.
Peradventure, I might say I want to vote this individual, and tomorrow another person comes with a better, issues and better dividends, then I change my mind. So generally speaking, many of them don't have inclusion in their manifestos. Maybe, and I'm grateful that you invited me on prime time. Maybe this is the time for some of them to go back and please write it even in pen. We will accept it. Than non-inclusion.
Absolutely.
Because where there is non-inclusion, I'm not going to keep quiet. I don't care who.
And in terms of that inclusivity that you're talking about, do you see the political parties beyond the manifestos reaching out to people with disabilities, encouraging them to take part or even seek elective office?
Well, I'm not going to mention name. There are some political parties that have done well in terms of structure, in terms of reasonable accommodation, creating offices that speaks to inclusivity. We know some of them, and most of them have also asked, what do we do? You know, to address the issue of inclusivity around the political parties. It's a major problem for us because many of them are not given adequate opportunity for participation of persons with disability, not just at the electoral level, at the internal democracy of the party, you know. So we have developed a guideline for that drives inclusivity in the electoral process for the electoral bodies, INEC. We've also developed a guideline that drives inclusivity for the political parties. It was endorsed by IPAC. You know, we've gone further because we also know that there are issues around security people and giving access to persons with disability and recognizing them and giving them the protection that they deserve, which is responsible for voter apathy. You know? So we have also a guideline for inter-security agencies. And I want to really commend the Chief of Defense Staff, because he made sure two 4-star generals were drafted to be part of that process. And so we have what is acceptable, because all the critical stakeholders were brought to the table, and we made critical decisions and made some changes that will drive inclusivity. Yes.
I suppose part of the problem here has been the lack of awareness in the disability community itself of their collective power and how they could exert that over the outcome of the election. Because I read that they're about 35 million strong, and that's a formidable voting force, isn't it?
16%. Again, this is...
But obviously, they're not all registered, are they?
16% of the estimated eligible voters will constitute persons with disability. That's a critical number.
Yes.
And that number can actually determine who wins this election. And that's why any smart analyst, data analyst around this presidential candidate will take issues of persons with disability very seriously. You know, so that's why we came up with this idea, which many networks, including your network, had given us support. Able to Vote campaign. Able to Vote campaign is designed to target persons with disabilities themselves. And it's very strategic what we do. What we do is, INEC are the drivers of elections. INEC is the real organization that drives elections. So we bring persons with disability, peradventure, they may not have had the opportunity to meet with the reps of these states and even the INEC chairman. So we bring INEC face to face with the community and ask her, what can you do for these people? And we create the opportunity for them to ask the relevant questions. And we take them through the process. If we talk about access, this is what access means. And these are the provision that will make accessibility a reality. If we talk about magnifying glasses, this is what magnifying glasses is. This is how you will use it. You know, we talked about Braille. You know, all shades of intervention that we will use during the election are presented to the community directly. And then we also bring security personnel to also be educated by the community what they want and what will make them and scare them from participating in the electoral process. So it's face to face with those who are making this intervention. But we're going beyond that, Charles. We're also planning to host all the would-be contestants. We've identified about 15 of them. For the first time in this country, 15 persons with disability across board are going to contest for one elective position or the other. We're bringing them together here in Abuja, and we will have a conference that will help them to raise funds, that will help them to organize their campaign, that will help them with messaging, that will help them to build political consensus, that will help them to understand how to strategically present themselves to the electorate and get their vote.
That is a very, very impressive thing that you're doing, and I want to thank you very much indeed for coming in to share that with us. And Jake Ekpelle is the UN Albinism Ambassador, who's also a co-founder of the Albino Foundation and the Able to Vote campaign.
Charles, I'm actually the founder. I don't have an assistant.
Okay.
Maybe
so he is the founder. I'd be happy to assist you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir.